Gilles de Rais was a one-time comrade in arms to Joan of Arc. He was Grand Marshal of France, possibly the richest man in Western Europe. After her death, after she was burnt at the stake as a heretic, his life took a dramatic turn for the worst. After depleting his massive fortune, because he was a bit of a scholar, he turned to alchemists, who in turn demanded sacrifice for demons to appear. Most of these were children, which his sexual appetites to the best of him, he sodomized and killed in various ways. Eventually he was brought to trial after a few years. They estimate that the amount of deaths between anything from 140 to about 400 people, children mainly. When he was brought to trial, he was excommunicated by the Catholic Church, but after confession of his sins and pleading clemency, he was granted clemency and pardoned before he was burnt. So his life was one of complete extremes.
The understanding I have of him is, I suppose he pretty much didn't really give a stuff, to be honest. You know what people thought of him. He pretty much went off and done what he wanted to do, which I suppose in a way is almost pretty much the same attitude of people in, not necessarily us, but just people in bands, and not necessarily in bands, even the other people.
Trying to talk your way out. It is us.
It is, but it's like, yeah, I think it is quite similar, to be honest.
Gilles de Rais was above the law. He was the law. I mean, they had to find a way to bring him to justice. The people were aware of what was happening apparently for years, at least 2 or 3 years. And it was only when he slipped up, and I believe he wanted to be caught. I think he's like one of those people that, because he definitely at one point in his life, the guilt completely overwhelmed him, and even a kind of madness ensued, and alcoholism. And I believe he did try and trip himself up, and he gave himself away by dragging a priest out of High Mass, which was tantamount to treason by the Catholic Church, and they had excuse then to hold him to justice. But even then, he gave himself up willingly, either because he believed himself too powerful to be reprimanded, or maybe he was just so full of himself he just didn't believe in it. I don't know. Well, I think it's a metaphor for a recipe for disaster. I mean, the temptations, of the flesh, and temptation of money, and greed, and wanton abandonment, wanderlust. He went from being close to God's bosom to being, that doesn't sound right, does it? Being very close to God, to being as close as you could get to the gates of hell as possible. I mean, he even, pursued Satan when Satan actually had come and gone, That's the things that I think that frightened him more, that his life was barren. Henceforth he sought extremes, and I think, that's true of people today. Maybe not in the same context, but as a metaphor, yeah.
After the music's done, that's when the songs almost take like a shape and form. Well, Dan usually takes it into like the shape and form, the direction, either like concept or whichever form they take, whether it's historical or whichever, On that front, to be honest, I've got no comment on that, because it's like that they take shape after the music's done,
Being in a band as well, I know I am a bit of a Peter Pan character, and I know why. To be blatantly honest, I've never had the reason to grow up. I've never been into the real world. When I was going into the real world, I decided to be in a band. That's not being in the real world. Sure, yeah, I've got as many payments as anybody else has to make, but I think these ideas and these stories stem from the fact that I haven't actually become an adult, and I'm 35 years of age, because my mind hasn't been corrupted by the daily grind of life. The weight of the world hasn't ground my spirit into dust. I'm still a kid at heart, and that's probably why we're successful as a band, because we appeal to other kids and the kids in adults.